He is everything NBC Sports right now with a terrific crew in support. And you could see it every single night as we're sitting around the television. It's a family event. That's what's so great about watching the Olympics. And certainly NBC does an amazing job of it. And what a run our friends and colleagues at NBC Sports have been on. And my buddy, Mike Tirico, back here. By the way, Mike Tirico, we are on ESPN right now. We're back together.
We're together. We're back together. I think we did either an early one of your first shows together or at the end, one of my last SportsCenters together. It was at the end.
It was at the end.
Yeah.
It was at the end. You know, I was talking about this with Berman when I was chatting with him in San Francisco when I saw him at the Super Bowl, Mike, because we did a live chat there. He spent like 3 days every now and then back in the SportsCenter chair, and then you started doing that as well towards the end of your tenure of SportsCenter. Man. Like I remember that it was at the end of your sit there, Mike.
Because you would always point to the person with you, and I was on the other side of your point. I remember doing that. So Berman, I'll tell you a quick SportsCenter story with Boomer.
Please, Mike Tirico.
So we had, let's see, the 11:30 and the 2:30 a.m. SportsCenter. There were half-hour shows at that time. Mm-hmm. And when ESPN had a Wednesday night baseball doubleheader, you'd get to do the 1:30 a.m. And sometimes it would be the 11 o'clock guys, Danny Keith. Sometimes it would be the 2:30 a.m. guys, and sometimes it would be a split. So I got to work with Dan early on. It was maybe one of my first SportsCenters. Mm-hmm. And Boomer's doing the Hotel California baseball game, probably in Seattle with Jerry Royce. And he reads the promo. Coming up next, the SportsCenter, Dan Patrick and Mike Tirico. Dan, you're breaking in another one, huh? then he just read the bullet points that were coming up on the show. And I shared that story with Boomer. Because I remember I was sitting there, because like when you did the 2:30, and then you got bumped up to the 1 or the 1:30. Actually, you know what? It was Bob Lee. It wasn't Dan. It was Bob.
Yes.
Because it was Boomer and Bob who broke in like 1,000 SportsCenter anchors in their time. And it was like, Bob, you're breaking in another one, Gosh, it was fun to relive that with Boomer when I saw him out in San Francisco.
No doubt, because I remember Stuart and I, one of the times where we realized we had made it as a team is when Dick Vitale was reading a promo that we were doing the SportsCenter next, and like, Rich and Stu, and it's going to be great. And Stu and I looked at each other like, this is the greatest thing of all time. I'll never forget that. Cool.
It's what we grew up on, know, and it's like doing this job. You're hosting the Olympics. I grew up on Jim McKay hosting the Olympics, and my early days where Costas was the Olympic primetime host, and now to be in that role for 5 of these is just, it's crazy. It still doesn't feel real, but it's so much fun because that's how we grew up aspiring to be in these positions.
So how quickly did you turn the page from victory formation, right, for the Seahawks to, I've got to now conduct an Olympic gig from the stadium, Mike?
Yeah.
What was that like?
We did one segment. So I did not see Bad Bunny at halftime. People have asked, what was the halftime show? Like I said, I saw a bunch of grass on the field. Right. And then I turned, went to the back of our booth in the area at the level we were on, and I hopped on with our Olympic folks and went through as the rundown changed for the primetime show that's coming on right after the Super Bowl. What are the scripts? What's our plan? What are our logistics? Okay, great. Anything else I need to know? And we did like a 10 or 12-minute production meeting. And then I went back in the booth, woofed down something to eat real quick, and then got back in position, started talking to Chris about the second half and our producer, Rob Hyland. But that was it. And then as soon as the game ended, we did one segment, and I walked down to the field and got down an elevator down to the field level, and Maria finished with the trophy presentation. We picked up right off of that and kept going. And then as soon as we got done, back to the hotel, quick shower, grab a meal, and then we were flying by about 1 a.m. Jeez. Got here, and like 4 hours after we landed, was in the studio and doing the primetime show the next night. So it was a whirlwind, but it's been cool. I haven't hit the wall. This is, I think, day 13 of the Olympics, so day 14, 15 in a row or whatever. I feel really good. This has been an energizing 3-week run for us.
Oh, unbelievable. So 2 things. First of all, in the halftime show, there were almost as many flags in the Bad Bunny halftime as there were in an opening ceremony that you've seen. That's number one.
Very good.
And plus, I mean, the presentation is similar to an opening ceremony because the grass were people, as you know, I'm sure you've learned since then, moving. I was sitting there in the stands. I'm like, wait a minute, that's people in there. And then number two question: do you sleep on planes?
I do.
You do that?
God bless especially you. That night because I mean, you can't.
No.
Oh, so Marv early on, Marv Albert, who's one of those people who I was looking up to, and that's part of the inspiration for doing this and going to Syracuse was Marv Albert, Bob Costas, Len Berman, who was an exceptional sportscaster at NBC and WNBC, Dick Stockton. They were all Syracuse alums, and that was a little bit of the why I wanted to go there. As I read either Marv's second book or a subsequent conversation or both, Marv said, you must be able to sleep anywhere at any time. And it's true. Like you need to shut it down. And the hour 15 power nap after NBA shoot-arounds before a game is life-saving. So, yeah. And especially that day after the Super Bowl. I mean, it's the first time I've done it. So the adrenaline's going. You don't sleep as much. You get up early that day, get to the stadium early. And by the time we got done with the Super Bowl and the Olympics, the tank was mostly empty. So when we got on the plane, complete shutdown for about 5 hours, and then got right back going for let's get into preparation for Monday night at the Olympics.
Mike Tirico here on the Rich Eisen Show from the studio. I can see that I could see it
in the International Broadcast Center. Here we are.
Okay,
this is the whole set.
The IBC, if you will.
The IBC.
So I'll be honest. I'm watching way more curling than I ever have in my entire life. I mean, I'm learning about the hammer. I'm learning about the brooms and learning about the stones. I mean, as we pointed out, the controversial Canadian four fingers. Oh. My goodness gracious! I mean, that is something, Mike. This has been amazing.
Can I just tell you, so we've got like a production meeting room area where all of us are working on the primetime show, and we all get in around this time. So, whatever time it is now, it's 7:30 here in the night, and we work from 4, 5 in the afternoon until 5 in the morning. So we're just kind of on a flip schedule. So we're all in here. We're watching the end of the U.S. curling against Switzerland. They blow a lead, and now they're in an extra end, and we're all like, "Come on! Like, how does this happen? Like, they should have closed them out." And now they're doing all the strategy, and then you've got like 5 people we're crowded around the TV. Like, no, they've got to go here. No, they've got to go there. And like we're just yelling at the Rockets going down. Like, no, don't sweep. It has the right pace. Like, we don't know what we're talking about.
It's like you should call in, right? Call in. You're a long-time listener, first-time curler. You know what I mean?
But that's the beauty of the Winter Olympics. Everything's on snow and ice. Usually, for those who live somewhere where there's snow and ice, you do everything you can to get off of snow and ice quickly and safely as possible. These people not only need the snow and ice, they strap metal things to go even faster or razor-thin things to jump in the air and then land on said ice. When you really boil down every sport in the Winter Olympics, save for curling, it's insane. It's crazy what they do at these speeds. And then curling is just the coolest thing. If you've ever been to have you curled before, Rich?
I have not, Mike. We've had people every single time we talk about it saying you should try it because there are places here in LA that can actually do this.
Are there?
Yeah,
Rich, you have to take your show group.
Okay.
For a curling night.
Okay.
It's awesome. Like get some grown-up drinks, make some brats. And like it is so much fun and so cool to do. And once you do it, you'll watch it totally differently. And it's fun. Anyway, it's a cool sport, and it's one of those things like you're not going to stop and watch speed skating over the next 2 years. But Jordan Stolz goes tonight. He just skated. You're going to want to watch that. Mm-hmm. You don't regularly watch a Grand Prix figure skating show in all likelihood, but when it's the Olympics and pressure and that gold medal's on the line, you stop and watch. So that's the fun of it.
No doubt, Mike. Of that, there is no doubt. And I had mentioned it's, Susie and the kids, all 5 of us watching it. To get all 5 of us to watch the same thing, it's impossible. It's impossible.
It's cool.
It really is. And I will say this, Mike, my daughter, I told her I was going to ask her this question. She says, because I told Suze that you're coming on the show today, and she goes, "How come Mike Tirico does everything?" That's what she said. How do I respond to that, Mike? How do I respond?
You've got to tell her that I'm lucky that I worked with both her dad and her mom. I'm one of the few people who've been on the air with both dad and mom.
Yes, indeed.
And they define the good people who do this. Tell her that I'm insanely curious about sports, and I'm still a sports fan.
I love it.
And I love it. Like, I still love watching anything where they're keeping score and the people's stories matter.
Yeah.
And I'm just lucky. I've chased my dream. This is the dream job for me when I was a little kid, her age or younger. And here I am in my late 50s and still doing it. And like you, loving every single second of it. So tell her I'm just a kid living a dream.
I love it. Perfect. I will show this to her. What story are we not talking about? I mean, you must come across so many narratives, stories. Yeah. If it already hasn't happened, it's something that you're looking forward to seeing over the rest of these Olympic Games. Mike, what is it?
Yeah. A couple of the one that's an international that I think is off the charts good is the cross-country skier Johannes Klæbo from Norway. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's the only guy with Michael Phelps who's won more than 10 gold medals in their life. It's nuts. This guy is talented. He's got one more ski. He has a chance to just have one of those great of all-time Olympic performances this year if he closes it out. I think the women's figure skating tonight, there's significance in that because it's been 20 years since America has won a medal, not a gold medal, a medal in figure skating. And Alyssa Liu from Oakland, who's in third going into the short program, like, she's got what it takes to handle Olympic pressure. And I hope she has a great night. And, it's a sport where you can't play defense, right? You don't have the Seahawks defense to come out and shut down these 3 Japanese skaters. So I hope Alyssa has a great night on her own and has success. And man, the hockey was good yesterday, Rich. The hockey was so good yesterday.
Well, obviously, a Wolverine sending the Americans on to the semifinal, and also starting the scoring for Team USA. I'm well aware, as you know.
Dylan Larkin and Jack Hughes, both Michigan-born, both Michigan Wolverines, and they beat a team that was wearing a lighter version of maize, but a team that wears maize and blue. So they felt comfortable looking at the Swedes. Semifinals will be great tomorrow. USA plays in the afternoon, just after 3:00, and that'll be live on NBC. So we're excited about that. And we're on ESPN. You guys know what the Four Nations tournament was like last year. It was great. Imagine Sunday morning. It would be 8 a.m. Eastern, 5 a.m. on the West Coast. Imagine if we get USA Canada for the gold. In ice hockey, the last event of the Olympic Games, people across the country will set their alarm and wake up. That's one of those wake up for it type of things. So we've had a really fun, enjoyable Olympics, and it's kind of building to a good crescendo with those couple of events coming this weekend.
When do you turn your page to the NBA? When's that happening?
I will be courtside next Sunday night in Boston for the Sixers and the Celtics. So I'm very glad that we've had this week of no NBA games other than All-Star, and everybody's taking the break, and that reality sets in on the flight home that, okay, we got the better than we thought Sixers against the Celtics, who've been incredible post-Tatum, and now that buzz is starting again as we get to the second half of the season. Yeah.
A fellow Syracuse Orange, Chris Brockman, ask him what you want to ask him, because you've been talking about the fact that NBC says, let's put that game on the air.
Why would we flex into that, Mike, if JT's not coming back?
I've seen people say that. That is not the case. If that happened, that would be 30 out of 10, not 10 out of 10.
That's right.
But no, I think the game we had in that window was not as competitive, and the NBA is pretty good about like the flex scheduling idea from the NFL. We see it on Sunday nights. The NBA is really good about that. So this gives a competitive game. The Sixers are better than I think folks thought. So you get a good game in that Sunday night window now. And if Tatum, even if he's on the periphery of coming back, the conversation alone whets your appetite for what's going to be a great last 7 weeks of the NBA regular season and steamroll into the playoffs. Here we go.
All right, Mike, before I let you go, I want to stroll down memory lane one last time with you here. Because when I saw you on the turf before Super Bowl 60, doing a SportsCenter video podcast series called This Was SportsCenter, and I want to go down a bunch of memory lane with you at some point when you have time out of this part of your schedule, obviously. But this photograph, I don't recall but I don't recall why we did it. I just remember, like, now I'm looking back, I'm like, I'm so excited that I'm in this photograph.
Same.
But do you remember why? Do you remember the circumstances behind all this, or what?
I don't know if it was like one of those pictures for the corporate brochure that goes out to the shareholders.
I got you.
One of those things. I forget. I don't know the why of it, right? But man, how cool is that? And how cool is it to look and just see the Hall of Fame careers there and the people who are still friends? And like after the Super Bowl, I got a text from Charlie Steiner, like,
awesome.
just checking in and just watching. And I talked to Reese a whole bunch, and see Larry Beal when we're out in San Francisco often. We just talked about Boomer and big show Bob Stevens back there next to Chris McKendry. but texting Chris when she started calling the Australian Open. She had been the studio host for the tennis, and just texting back and forth with her and working with her on that. It was you kind of pinch yourself and you go, how lucky were we?
Yep.
And I would say, Rich, that everybody in that group, I learned something from. And I think we all took something from each other. Like, I couldn't be as funny and quick-witted and, just with a little dry wit, one-line jab as you or Kilborn. But that every once in a while, that's a good club to have in your bag, right?
Oh, yeah.
And just the class that Robin Roberts brought to everything she did. And how to do a highlight. Like, if you got a great highlight, a good music theme behind you, like, you could definitely think about how Boomer used to deliver a good highlight. I think pieces of everyone. Oberman, go sit and write the hell out of a story.
No doubt.
Nobody could sit there like Keith and go.
Well, use one hand. Didn't you use one hand sometimes?
Right? And just write like the whole show in 40 minutes, and you're like grinding on a lead for the Mavericks. The Mavericks taking on the Bucks on a Wednesday night in Milwaukee, and you're like, what fact do I have? How can I set this game up? And Oberman's just got, and he's just written this brilliant lead. Like, we all, I think, collectively learned from each other on how to make good TV, and it's a blessing to be in that picture and call most of the people, everybody in that picture, really. A friend and somebody who I respect the heck out of.
Well, I'll pay it back to you, Mike. What I remember from our SportsCenter that we did do together is I picked up from you that when you do a highlight and the information's all there on this shot sheet, as they say, we're going deep in the weeds here. But when the information's all there, and you would just sometimes read it like, I'll go back in the day. Vince Carter gets the dunk, and it's now, so-and-so gets the rebound. And you would not say what we were seeing. You would start telling a narrative, a storyline. Vince Carter started taking over this game is what you would start to say. You wouldn't read verbally, word for word, or even close to word for word on the shot sheet. You would start using the highlight to tell a story. And I picked up that from you doing highlights. That is a fact.
That's cool.
That's true,
I never knew that.
It's the truth.
I didn't even know that that's what I was doing. So
you were.
Thank you for getting in my head.
No, so it's all
awesome.
good. It's all good. And
cool.
And Larry Beal, you mentioned him. He was my first, by the way.
He was your first.
He was indeed. And who was yours? Who was yours?
Jim Bergamo.
Okay, there you go.
You were in. Did you and Jim cross over? I don't think so.
No, we did not. I got there in '96.
Wonderful man. He was my early SportsCenters were with Jim Bergamo and Ann Montgomery. The first couple of weeks, they were SportsCenter late night anchors. And the greatest thing about Jim Bergamo in the newsroom, because we were all in cubicles in the newsroom, Jim had that, like, it wasn't even Sam's Club then, like that Sam's Club size ketchup bottle. And like, if you had food that you warmed up at 11 o'clock, you could go to Jim's cube and get his ketchup bottle. And that was like, that's the guy I did my first SportsCenter with, and it was awesome.
Mine was Larry, and I did an entire Knicks highlight in Marv Albert's voice because I'm the same as you. Like, I'm sitting here today, I rip off from Marv every day, whether it's cadence, whether it's a cracking wise, whatever.
All of us. Yeah.
And I did notice that you can't do Marv's voice. Well, you can't say anything about Marv without doing his voice. I picked up on that from you earlier in this conversation.
It's in your head for life. I told somebody the other day, now I'm back doing the NBA, and you have Mike Breen, Ian Eagle, myself, no ego, and just a few. I know there's so many other good people who do the NBA at ESPN, Dave Pash and Mark Jones and everybody else. I'm not just picking out anyone, but just the guys who we're familiar with, and to be back in the group of lead guys with Mike and Ian, like we are all disciples of Marv, and there are pieces of the style of how Marv called the game in our own personality that in all three of us you can hear. And it's really cool to know that the guy who was the voice of the NBA for an entire generation, it's almost like that Bill Walsh coaching tree, right?
Yeah.
We all learn from the same place and kind of bring the same big picture, 30,000 foot approach to a broadcast where there's time for a little fun, time for stats, make a big moment, stamp it in your own way. All of that came from all of us for years growing up in about a 50-mile radius and listening to Marv, just like people who are sportscasters who grew up on the West Coast are in the style some way of Chick Hearn.
Yeah.
Like Chick's voice is in their head and how to make it flamboyant in Hollywood. That's what I always love to share with young sportscasters or even people who are going to news or writing. Like, steal what you think is great, but do it in your personality. You can't be a clone of someone because there's only one Chris Berman. There's only one Dan Patrick. But the things they like to do in your personality and voice can be successful because that's what you like to hear. And that's a little bit of the amalgamation of the people who I've loved covering and watch and hopefully bring to the set every day, every night that we do this.
Yeah, Dan taught me to call it sampling. That's what he taught.
Sampling. Yeah, that's it. It's such a Dan term.
DP said, don't call it stealing, call it sampling.
Sampling. He's the best. Love him.
Hey, Mike, we'll be out there watching you tonight. Keep doing your thing, man.
Thank you.
I look forward to seeing you again. It was great to run into you on the field before the game.
Same. Right back at you. See you in primetime the next few nights and say hi to Susan and the kids.
You got it. That's Mike Tirico right here from Milan Cortina from the International Broadcast Center, where he's dominating the host seat or standing in his shoes.
That was awesome.
My gosh, do I have a lot of stories off of what he just said. Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Check us out every single day streaming live on Disney Plus and the ESPN app 12 to 3 Eastern.